Right now on Full Custom Garage, master metalman Ian Roussel transforms the inside of a 1949 milk truck.
The whole concept with the interior of this is like pirate ship. I've been thinking about that for a while. I want it to be my dream shop truck.
But a simple shop truck isn't enough. Ian's got to take it all the way.
It's going to be modular. I want it to be able to convert from work truck to camper pretty easily.
So Ian rounds up a crew of mercenaries to help get the job done.
I hate being the brains of the outfit.
The goal here is finished interior. And it's like, who knows what could happen. Oops. There's always a problem. You know, the best laid plans, there's a statement about that. This is a 1949 International Harvester. It's a Metro van. It's pretty rare. This is a shorty model, so it makes it very desirable. These are big commercial trucks, so I say shorty because this is the shortest wheelbase available. I got this van because I want it to be my dream shop truck. This is like perfect. It's enclosed, it's a van, it's heavy duty, and there's tons of room inside. The whole thing about vans for me is the interior. It's all about what's going on inside. The truck's in primer right now, and I'm cool with that, but the interior's horrible. I love the way that this thing was set up from the factory. It's got this cool seat that tilts forward. I redid the bracketry on that, so you kind of just get in like milk truck style. I made all new steering column, foot pedal controls. The whole interior has been revamped. It's nothing like it was because it's so low now. I've done a whole ton of work on this van, but for any cool custom van, it's all about the interior. And if you want to have a party in here, this stuff ain't gonna fly. I gotta fix it. The thing I like most about this, it's just funky. You don't see them. I've had VW buses since I was 15. I've always loved them, and this is like a big brother to a VW bus. It's like the next bigger size. It's able to tow. It has a good V6 engine with a manual transmission. It's the same idea as the VW bus, but rarer and cooler. My whole concept with this is like a dual-purpose vehicle. During the week, it's a work truck, and on the weekends, it's a play vehicle. I want it to be able to convert from work truck to camper pretty easily. I got a couple ideas for this van. Getting started on the interior, I'm gonna go to this van show and just see what's happening. The van scene is kind of like a 1970s time capsule, right? It's like everybody's playing dress up. You got your bitchin' vans in a row. I mean, this is what's happening. My friend Don came along to this show. He's been into vans since it was happening in the 70s. I like vans because they're really focused on the interior. Sure, they got cool look on the outside, mag wheels, whatever, but it's all about what's going on inside the box. The wild thing about vans is it's just like ultimate self-expression. You can go in any direction. You see theme vans, fantasy vans, just anything goes. Seeing the van show was really cool, and it just got me inspired to get mine finished. The hardest part in this whole project are the upper interior corners, so I got an idea, and hopefully it works out. Just to kick off the project, I really want to see the finished color somewhere on the vehicle. I've been looking at rust for way too long. I'm gonna bring in my friend Bob. He's a painter. I want him to just do the dashboard. Just give me some inspiration, Bob. Hey, man.
How you doing, man?
I'm having a hard time with the sander. Good thing you showed up.
That's what I'm here for.
Bob Gore is a fan of mine. He saw the first DVD we produced. It's going on 10 years, I think. It's been a while since we did that, and Bob has been on board ever since. He's come out a bunch of times to help me with my different projects, and here he comes one more time.
Ian's working on a project, and he could use my help. He said he could use my help, and so I thought he'd come out and work with him again. Every time I get the opportunity, I'd love to come out.
The main reason I call on Bob to paint stuff is because he's stoked. He's like gung-ho, he loves the projects I work on, and that's a huge asset. Instead of just dropping it off somewhere where somebody's ho-hum about the project, the dude comes across the country and nails it. That's commendable. I got this thing I'm trying to finish. I picked this thing up almost 2 years ago, and you remember my silver shop truck?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I want to paint this silver, because this is my shop truck. This is the '88 GMC pickup.
Really?
I took the whole frame out from under it, so it's got the motor, transmission, front and rear axle, and I just put this body on it. So you know how reliable that truck was.
Yeah.
That thing was unstoppable, so I wanted to reuse it. So that's really what this is in essence. The only thing that's left from the original sheet metal is this nose section, the roof, and some portions of the body.
The way Ian had described it to me was nowhere near what I didn't expect to see what I saw.
This rear bumper is the front bumper from a F-150 Ford pickup. I made the license plate flip up, and then you have your trailer hitch hidden in there. So if you're gonna tow a trailer, it just goes in. The whole idea with this van is it's a keeper. I'm to the point in the project where it's all about cosmetics.
Is it gonna be the same color as the outside?
I think the whole thing's gonna be silver all the way through.
There's so much more bodywork that needs to be done to it. Instead of me painting the outside of the vehicle, he needed me to do some work on the interior.
So really, I'm working on fabricating this whole back end. I got a lot of framework and stuff to do, and you can see how crappy this looks. It's got this bitchin' glove box where you can keep all kinds of stuff up here.
Yeah.
But I just want to get rid of the rust. You know, it's all flaking off. So I just want to sand out pretty much from here down, just the whole front cab. Just got to get it base coated so it doesn't look like a haunted house in here. This was in a blueberry bush way up north, and somebody was living in this thing for years. See that hole under there?
Yeah.
There was a wood-burning stove on the dashboard. That's why the windows are cracked from the heat. And there was a chimney. Look, you see the hole going right through? There was a chimney that went out the top. It had signage on it that said like Andy's Place or something.
Yeah.
See, all the windows were painted black, so some kind of hippie was living in this thing, and I needed to have it. Some ghosts or something.
Definitely got some patinas showing.
Right, and I'm not going for that. So I think I'll get in here and pull the gauges and the switches out. That way I'll get the steering wheel off and you'll be good to go. So I'll just get all this crap out of your way. This is even the front seat from the pickup truck. Reused the whole thing. I gave Bob a little wish list, told him what I was looking for, and just go to work. He knows what he's doing. I guess he's gonna sand out everything, primer it, and paint it.
Normally, it would have been media blasted. It had so much patina on it from back in the day that he actually felt that it was a little too far gone to go to that extreme. So what we did was we just sanded it down and got it as ready for paint as best we could. And it still came out really good.
Spray it up. It'll be the same color as the exterior, that cool metallic silver. I really flip-flopped on color choices for this thing for a while, but I was looking through an Eastwood catalog and they had this silver metallic, and it just looked right. Ultimately, the whole van is gonna be this cool silver metallic color. Right now, Bob's just gonna primer it and then wait about an hour, I guess, and go right into the color and clear coat. This truck looks like a giant toaster, so I wanna paint it silver. The metal flake goes with the whole 70s van vibe, custom stuff. I just mellowed it out a little bit. I didn't go for the heavy flake, I just went for a metallic, but this color's cool.
As I laid it out, I could tell it was spraying really good. It covered nicely. I thought it was really good, but the most important thing was Ian was really happy with it.
This looks totally clean, man. I'm stoked. It's way better than it was.
All right, well, thanks, man. It means a lot.
Bob's paint looks great. I just needed a no-brainer, somebody come in and nail it, and that's what he did. There's a lot of fabrication to be done on the interior, a lot of wood and upholstery, so I needed to just get the dashboard painted and move on to this more challenging stuff. This van being dual purpose, I want to build a deck across the whole rear of it, so it's like a platform bed. It's going to be made out of angle iron, I think 2-inch. The whole thing is it's got to be strong and it's got to fold up. This is the start of the rear deck. The whole idea is these panels are going to fold up and become the walls of the van when you're in work mode. And then if you go camping or whatever, this is actually a big mat. It's a big bed you can sleep on. I'm going to work on fabbing up the structure out of angle iron. I came up with some material that could act as hinges, so Bob's going to build the hinges and I'm going to build a frame. This is a really simple barrel hinge design. It's just a solid shaft that fits inside of a collar. Bob's just cutting a bunch of blank pieces and making sure they pivot right.
Since we're fabricators and body men, we don't like to go to the store and buy hinges when we can make them.
So I thought we'd need 8, but 6 seems to do it. I just welded them right onto the interior structure, so once we cut this in half, the 2 sides will flip right open. I built one big square frame. My plan of attack was to just build it, cut it in half, and it should hinge. Turns out the van isn't square. Surprise, surprise. There's always a problem. You know, the best laid plans, there's a statement about that. Typical stuff. Oops, the van wall is angled in, and I had to go a little backwards. What do you think, dude? It's gonna be your nest. By angling the rear of this bed frame, it actually gives you way more room to sit in the back door, and it looks cool.
His work is always an inspiration to me, and that's why I love working with him and being involved with his projects, because you can never get bored being around Ian.
Let's just fit out the panels. We'll cut some wood pieces and we'll fit up the walls, and that's pretty much it for today. The next step is to sheathe this thing in plywood. It's all gonna be covered, it's just gotta be strong, nothing fancy. It was really cool to see this platform there, actually constructed. I've been thinking about this for weeks, and it turns out it works great. It hinges perfect, and it's super strong. I need some material for the walls. They're gonna be upholstered. I had a couple acrylic sheets, plexiglass. It'll work perfect. You could use pretty much anything. It's gonna be covered with vinyl in the end. I just cut it to fit and put a couple screws in it. What do you think, man? You need a couple bean bags, 2 bongos.
Cooler full of ice cold beverages.
I really thought about how this was gonna work, and I decided by butting this frame up against the door jambs, when I lifted them up, they were gonna clip into place, and it worked. Every one of my projects involves a lot of just winging it. Standing back looking at this, I'm really stoked with the little V shape in the rear, the seating area. It looks great. This is just the first step. The goal here is finished interior. This is gonna be a real challenge.
I'm really enthused about getting to work on it, and I'm really glad he did this project, you know, for himself. You know, it's something really, really nice.
My friend Nate, he's a cabinet maker. He's an expert in his field, and I'm gonna have him help me design the dashboard. I got a few different concepts for the interior of this van, and I'm thinking fancy pirate ship. Something really deluxe, kind of boat feeling. My buddy Jack's an upholsterer. I've worked with him on a bunch of projects, and I'm gonna go to him for some advice.
This will be one color though, huh?
I think
Are you
so.
gonna make this?
Unless you do the piping with a nice.
Yeah, we'll do it. We can do that in a lighter
Yeah.
color, or like you said, silver maybe.
The truck is silver, so I'm gonna leave it up to you. Surprise me. How about that? I'm open for whatever.
This you can run the seat belts.
No
if you want.
seat belts, no
Okay.
safety. It's 1949.
Oh, you don't need them.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you don't want that there. That's ugly. Yeah, I'll have it done.
Perfect. Thank you,
I'll
sir.
have it done by dinner.
Perfect. I'm a resourceful guy, so my plan with Jack was to just have him give me a shopping list. I was gonna go out and get all the stuff he needed. I need to buy like 20 yards of vinyl, 10 yards of carpet, a bucket of spray glue, interior panels, the whole 9 yards. So if you got the spot, let's take a ride.
Well, we'll go up there and I'll show you what they have.
He's got the skinny on the cheapest fabric in town. So we went to this place here in the valley. It's awesome. They've got all kinds of foam, every type of fabric. It's like full industrial supply house. They got everything. I walked into that place and I didn't know where to start. I mean, I was charged up. It's like, this is men's shopping at its finest. Oh yeah, that's like headliner.
Material. All different colors.
Maybe I should just do it in this. Jack showed me around all the different samples of vinyl they have. They got a million different foams. So he just kind of directed me to the least possible expense and the best quality for the money. This is pretty much how I roll. Show me to the dismembered packages. I want the interior of this van to be dim, kind of like a cozy bar you might want to spend some time at. I'm thinking like oxblood, dark, red, burgundy, something like that. But I love contrast, so I want like a light tone to offset it. I found exactly what I needed. I just got to get back to the shop, finish up the walls, and get on to the final upholstery. So all I did on this was just went through just as efficiently as possible. I put in gussets on every join. I put in a couple extra braces, and I added these few tabs. If you could see, it the way it's sitting. I only wanted to have one post in the middle, right over the airbag arch, but that lets the whole thing flop around pretty bad. I made a removable brace that supports the floor. It just pops out, and when you close it, it adds extra support. I gotta clean all this stuff up, get the rust off. It's recycled material, but I just made this little brace that actually clips into the back of that bed. I did a front one and a back one. You can see how it's gonna go. All you do is set it in little clips. Just pop it in the shape. So that's really tight fit, but I think once I sand it and stretch it out and bounce it a few times, it'll get better. Dirty surfboard. It shows you I need to go surfing. Look at how dirty that is. I don't remember the last time I went. But now that I got my van, I'll be able to go. So the whole idea is you got your bed there, and then all that free space under the bed to scratch your surfboard on. How's that sound? That sounds great. Wow. These damn novice surfers, they don't even know how to put their board in the truck without scratching it. It's all right, now that I got my van, I'm gonna be a local. Before I get started on finishing this thing, I'm gonna put all the wiring in, that way it's hidden, clean, out of the way. Got this bitchin' wiring assembly from Painless. Apparently it's everything I need. Pretty simple. They tell you right on the wires what they do. The whole idea with this is they're gonna be hidden under the carpet. I don't want them outside underneath, and you'll never have to mess with this. This is all brand new, so you can see everything is pretty straight ahead. This guy's gonna go up where the old one was, and the engine stuff will turn around and go right through the firewall, and then the interior wires will come around, go up to the dash, and then come back to the taillights. These are simple trailer lights. They look pretty ugly when you see them on trailers, but I made this whole surround and kind of Frenched them in, so it gives it a whole new look. In the end, you just get this cool round tail lamp. That's all you see. They look kind of old school, you know? That was the easiest wiring job I've ever done. After going to that van show, Don has not stopped talking about his old ride and getting that thing back on the road. We just started digging through it, and we found some really interesting artifacts. This interior thing is something that I'm really looking to have more experience with. I've done a bunch of stuff, and each time it gets more complex. The hardest part for this van, to me, is going to be the rear quarters. The whole thing will lay out pretty easily. It's the corners that are going to be such a problem area. It's a really hard shape to make out of flat sheets of material. So to me, that's like the pride of this whole interior, is creating these corner panels. Jack explained a couple ideas on how he would have done this. And I guess he takes a series of paper slats and creates this shape and glues them all together. I don't have any paper, so I'm gonna try to do the same thing out of metal. We'll see how it works out. Trying to take a flat sheet and make a dome out of it is really hard. It could be done with metal, you know, it's just gonna take time. This idea of layering these pieces, you are overlapping them, kind of like a lobster tail, or if you see like a metal glove in like a knight in shining armor, the way his fingers actuate. Same concept, it's just a number of layers overlapping to create a compound curve. This van had a huge amount of rust repair, so I saved the walls. That's just what I do. I replaced both walls on the van, I saved the old panels, and now I'm gonna reuse them. The main reason I decided to use steel is because I have this slip roller from Eastwood, and I knew I could just cut a few strips and roll them right into shape. This is a slip roller. The idea is it takes sheet metal and makes coils out of it. The idea is there'll be a series of these that overlap each other and change their angle, and then I'll trim it all back. So the first step is obviously this one right here, because we want it to be bigger than the rest. My whole process in everything is just figuring it out. You know, point A to point Z is in a zigzaggy direction. These rear corners are pretty challenging, but I feel like it's gonna work out. The hardest part for me was figuring out how all these pieces were going to come together in this compound curve. Once I had the top and the bottom panels in, I knew filling in the rest was going to happen. I used a whole bunch of screws to hold this thing in place. I tack welded it and really just finished it off with the hammer until it looked as smooth as I could get it. So you can see this side is the overlaps. It's not that big a deal. There's still plenty of room back here. And I could have gone about this like 100 different ways, but this took about 20 minutes and I used up some scrap metal in the process. Just trying to figure some stuff out. I don't know what more to say about it. I'm told that this foam will stretch to the contour of this. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to put 2 layers of foam in here because I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible. I don't want it to look faceted or choppy. The whole idea with my plan of attack is that 2 layers of foam and then the headliner material should smooth out all the rough edges. And we won't know until it's all glued up. I got this spray adhesive that works like paint. You put it in a spray gun and it works like magic. It's super strong, it stinks amazingly, and it's a lot of fun. I cut out the headliner material, glued it up, and it's time to put it on. We'll see what happens. Something about the way I work, it's just I go increasingly faster. As soon as I'm comfortable with something, I just move on it. And I think that's how I'm so productive. The way that this glue set up and everything has come together, this is happening. So if you look close, you can see these lines through here. In an effort to minimize that, I'm gonna put 1 more layer of foam on. Definitely better than it was when it was a piece of metal, that's for sure. This is the headliner material. I'm gonna use the end of the roll in case I mess up. This stuff's a little dirtier than the rest of it. Some kind of material laminated to the foam on this headliner, so it might stretch differently. Everything worked out with the foam and the upholstery. It's time to put it in and see if it actually looks right. See, it's a perfect corner. That is deluxe. After I got this quarter nailed, I was excited to see how some vinyl looks next to this headliner material. I took the piece that surrounds the rear door and started with that. I put it in the sheet metal brake. It seemed like it fit perfect, so I went ahead and glued it, foamed it, and then went to the vinyl. The whole issue with this process is once you've glued up the vinyl, it's like a giant sticker. So if you fold it wrong, it's ruined. I don't know if you ever used a sticker that big, but this is pretty daunting. I just kind of felt it. I don't know, I used the force. I went out of my body for a moment, looked at it from 6 different angles, and committed. All the fabric I'm putting in the interior is pretty much a background tone. I really want the wood that I'm using to be the highlight. My friend Nate, he's a cabinet maker. He's an expert in his field, and I'm gonna have him help me design the dashboard.
Hey Ian, what's up?
Working on getting this dashboard situated.
Right.
See all this stuff I'm building out in wood, it's pretty simple, but I need something really cool. I know you're a cabinet maker, and I wanna do something that's really special. Like you walk in the door, and this is the main entryway.
Right.
The whole concept with the dashboard is gonna be like a wood structure. I wanted to have cup holders, lights, bells, whistles. This is the focal point of the whole interior.
Okay, cool. So we want to go like the old school van used to have the cup holder in the middle, except larger version type
Exactly.
of thing.
See, the engine's under here, so
Right.
the whole thing is just gonna sit in somehow, not fastened down. That way I can still get to the motor. I could just take this thing off.
Okay.
But I'm thinking like these dimensions, you know, this kind of angled shape, about this tall, and really the sky's the limit.
Well, I'll sit down and draw a few versions of it for you, and I'll come back and we can discuss it some more and go from there.
I don't even think you have to draw me a version.
Really?
I think you should just build it. I know you got kind of an artsy thing going. You're a musician. I hear you guys next door. So just like build your cup holder, man. Build something you think is badass, and I'll
Okay.
use it.
And you can hear us next door?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't even need to use the radio. Cool, man. Well, I'll be here. Just let me know. Thanks. After going to that van show, Don has not stopped talking about his old ride. He's got an old Dodge van in the back lot, and he's been doing nothing but talking about getting that thing back on the road.
I bought it from a neighbor probably 10 years ago. He had it for many, many, many years.
The whole concept was get all the mechanical stuff back in order, give it a good cleaning, and put it on the road. But we just started digging through it, and we found some really interesting artifacts.
Did you see the book that was in this?
It's still got some magic. This was inside. This is the real deal. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Whoever owned this was definitely a van head. He's got custom van books, all kinds of owner's manuals. I mean, this dude was on it. He was all about the van. Don's van is really a time capsule. It's the way it was built in the 70s. You know, you're pulling stuff out of this van, and it doesn't happen anywhere else other than the 1970s, Van Nuys Boulevard. It's cool, man. Let's get to it. The cool thing about Don's van is I wouldn't change a thing. You know, looks like it was done in the 70s, and that's why we didn't want to change it. You know, I would drive this thing every day. This van was pretty crusty. The one redeeming factor is there's no rust. You know, this thing was sun-dried, but I think that was the saving grace. It's got the shaggiest of carpet. This thing's a disco inferno. I think one of the reasons this van was parked was because the exhaust manifold was broken. You don't know that until you start it. Cast iron exhaust manifold's a pretty challenging weld. We're choosing to arc weld this manifold because Don has these nickel electrodes, and that's the proper thing for welding cast iron. You got an arc welder and the right stuff. The whole thing about arc welding is there's no gas like in MIG welding. There's no wire that feeds, so you're literally just burning the electrode, and then this coating on it is the flux, for lack of a better term. But it works on cast iron. It was a good thing that the manifold needed some attention because it ended up putting new gaskets through the intake, the exhaust, you know, right out the back. Everything's freshened up, runs great.
No smoke?
No nothing.
Well, let's drive it.
The big charge in helping Don out with his projects is, you know, these are things that he totally loves. That's why he has all this stuff. And seeing each one come back to life is really rewarding. You know, you see his eyes light up because he remembers when it was actually working, you know, and here he is right back in it. Don's stoked. He's like Mr. Van in 1969 all over again. I think it's bringing him back a few decades and he's feeling good. So this whole vinyl interior thing is coming together pretty cool. All the panels are pretty much mocked up. I just have to do this last one and then skin the doors. I've made panels that fit inside every area that's going to be exposed. Got that board with foam and vinyl on it. So it's got the dashboard. I think the silver paint works great with this dark burgundy color. I'm really stoked. It just makes it look luxurious. The whole concept with the interior of this is like pirate ship. I've been thinking about that for a while. Something kind of classy, boat-inspired, definitely outlaw. That's the whole van thing. I just thought I might put some kind of a nicer finish rolled edge on this thing so it doesn't just look like a hard square, but when I was buying this material, I bought a wrong piece. And this one must be like for a doorstop or something. But I think it'll work perfect for that rolled edge I was looking for. I'm doing what I can with what I got. Interior dudes can go off on this thing and spend a year on the interior. You know, I'm trying to do something that's feasible for this work play vehicle. So the whole idea is that this fabric just makes a little bit more of a presence on the front edge. See that? Just looks a little more rich. Definitely looks cool. Got an idea. These doors are pretty rough. And to bodywork and finish them, to paint them would really be a huge time-consuming process. So I think I'm just gonna glue vinyl over them. You know, so far, anything that needs to be bitten, licked, or chewed on, he's like all over it. I couldn't ask for a better assistant in the licking and chewing department. Come on. It's time for glue, and you know what that does to you. You lose all your composure. This looks really great. I love the way the dashboard came out. Yo.
Hey, Ian, what's up?
Hey, man, what's going on? What do you got?
Hey, you know, you kind of left the artistic impression up to me on this thing, and
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in recycling anything and everything I can get wood-wise, especially when it comes upon, you know, some good hardwood. So
Exactly the channel we're on here, too.
And this is E08 wood. It's from South America. They use it on decking a lot. And what this is a piece of handrail that came off a deck that was redone. So I got 3 or 4 pieces of this, and I was thinking that we would use this as the cap for the handrail on that thing.
Nate stopped by, showed me this recycled piece of wood that he has, and it's gonna work out perfect. Yes, I'm totally down with that. That
Okay.
sounds great.
Cool.
So what you're saying is that this will actually be the cup holder in here?
Yeah, we'll drill right into the top of that and create your cup holders.
Okay. You got a plan.
I got a plan.
Good deal. One of the last things I need to do on this van is probably the most gnarly. I gotta cut the glass, and it's like, who knows what could happen. The roof skin is the largest panel. It's the biggest challenge in the whole deal, especially because it's hanging upside down. It's gotta be screwed together right, and I don't want it to buckle or look lousy. Because the roof is hanging upside down, there's a pretty good chance for it to warp because all the pressure point is hanging on the screw heads. I put some metal strips along each side of the panel that should help give it strength. All this is a hemmed edge. You can see is a sheet metal panel that comes around the edge. That way it's just a lot stronger. This is a pretty simple scenario. You have your backing board, you glue some foam on, glue vinyl, and staple the backside. It leaves a pretty generic looking panel. I got this idea that's gonna spice it up a bit. Got all these wooden slats. I think it offsets the color pretty cool. They're gonna be roughly a foot, 16 inches apart. The whole idea is the strips go lengthwise down the sides and the roof. It just makes it look cool, I don't know. There's gonna be wood strips every 16 inches. I mean, there's gonna be wood on the roof, there's gonna be wood on the walls. I might even put some outside, maybe even wooden rims. That would be ridiculous. The devil's in the details, just getting the rest of these interior parts installed. Gotta give respect to all the guys who do interior stuff. This is a very simple design, and it's really a workout. You may ask yourself, how does one guy hold a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet on the ceiling? Don had a pile of firewood, so I screwed a piece of firewood to a 2x4. Got to adapt and overcome. It's the only way. This is what I'm thinking. If I sit here, and then I stick this right here, it holds it up. That's using your head. One of the last things I need to do on this van is probably the most gnarly. I gotta cut the glass, and it's like, who knows what could happen. In an effort to do everything myself as usual, I decided I was gonna take on the challenge of cutting the glass, and it has proven to be quite an art form that I'm not very proficient in. I thought that cutting this glass would be a pretty good challenge, and it has been. I made templates for all the windows. This is the windshield, basically a mirror, driver side, passenger side. I bought a huge sheet of glass, and I've been slowly but surely destroying it, trying to learn how to cut this stuff properly. There's a plastic laminate between 2 panels of glass. That's what this safety glass is. So the plastic is pretty tough. The idea being when the window breaks, it doesn't shatter all over you. The way you cut the glass is you score both sides with the glass cutter, crack it, and then put some flammable liquid. I was using denatured alcohol. You light it on fire and melt the plastic. The guy at the glass shop didn't want to do this job for me. It's part of the reason I ended up doing it. He had an issue with an employee who spilled the denatured alcohol all over himself and didn't realize how flammable it was. You don't want to light yourself on fire. There it goes, all by itself. Ta-da! So the last step in this whole process is finishing off the edges. You want to pretty much polish them because any imperfections in the edge could cause a stress point which will crack the glass in the end. Found the easiest way to rough out the shape is with this diamond wheel. It's for cutting tile. Has like little pieces of diamond fused onto this metal disc. But if you just write about it, it works pretty efficiently. Getting the glass in was the last thing. Now this thing's weather tight. Interior's in, the van is ready to roll. The van's together. I got the airbags in, it's a driver. The big secret it's hiding is it's my old work truck. It's a 1988 GMC pickup truck. From the radiator to the gas tank, I modified the whole thing and put this international body over it, so it drives like a modern vehicle. It's got a Vortec V6 with a manual 5-speed. Airbags all around, it's a bitchin' ride. I got the seats back from Jack. They look sweet. It was his whole design with these stitched ribs and the grommets. I saw a seat he had there, and it translated perfectly to these two shapes. I chose this kind of oxblood color vinyl for the interior because I just thought it would look rich. You know, the exterior of the van is pretty mellow, but when you look inside, it's pretty special. My friend Nate made this cool console-like bar thing. It's just one of the things when you walk in, it's the focal point. You know, it's a really nice piece of furniture. This thing is immaculate. It's better than anything I could have made. I spent a lot of time on the structure of the fold-down walls. I wanted them to be very usable, so this whole hinge and steel mechanism I came up with has proven to work well. The whole concept with this van is its usability. You know, it's not a show car. So the back is set up to load and carry whatever, or you can hang out in it. That's the whole idea with this. It's a utility vehicle. It's one thing to work by yourself, but a project like this, it couldn't come around this quickly without some help from some good friends.
He works outside the box so much. I don't think Ian's ever seen the inside of the box. He has no limitations. You're never going to see an end to his creativity. His creativity is what he feeds off of, and that's the best fuel for any fire anybody could ever have.
I saw a quote, it was attributed to Jerry Garcia. It said, you don't want to simply be the best at what you do. You want to be the only one that does what you do. And really that, you know, it's kind of something that just stuck in my head.